Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down exactly how much I make and spend as a 23-year-old new grad software engineer at Coinbase living in San Francisco. I'll first walk you through my total annual compensation and how much I actually take home, and then dive into my monthly expenses. Let's get started. Starting out with my total compensation, my base salary as a new grad software engineer at Coinbase is $151,500 per year. Since Coinbase is a remote first company, they do something called location-based compensation, which they're very transparent about. As you can see here, different cities and different states are put into these zones 1 through 3. So for example, if I was living in San Francisco making $151,500 and I wanted to move to Miami, I would take a 10% pay cut because zone 2 is 90% of my zone 1 base salary. This is awesome because if you ever want to move on a whim, you know exactly how much your pay is going to change. Now let's get into bonuses. On top of my base salary, I received a $10,000 sign-on return intern bonus, which I received as a lump sum with my first paycheck. Coinbase also pays out an annual bonus of 5% of your base salary. So for me, that would be approximately $7,575. Of course, this is contingent upon your performance being met and also company goals being met. Now let's get into the final part of my compensation, the stock and equity, or as it's better known as RSUs. Unlike most well-known tech companies, Coinbase's RSUs are on a 1-year vesting schedule. So for my first year as a new grad, I was granted $50,000 in Coinbase RSUs. This grant vests evenly, meaning that I vest 25% of that grant every quarter. So this means I'll get about $12,500 worth of stock every 3 months, and the same each quarter until the full $50,000 is vested. My stock was granted at a price of around $242 per share, and now the Coinbase is trading closer to around $320, so my equity has appreciated a little bit in value. In terms of relocation stipend, Coinbase does not offer a relocation stipend, at least for new grads, because they are a fully remote company, so you can live wherever you want. So after all that, my total annual compensation, adding everything up for my first year as a new grad, with the base salary, the sign-on bonus, the annual bonus, and the equity, my total compensation comes out to approximately $219,000, or about $18,256 per month before taxes. Now let's get into my take-home pay. Based on my salary alone, my gross monthly pay comes out to about $12,625 before taxes. This is without the sign-on bonus or RSUs. I also contribute 15% to Coinbase's ESPP program, so if that 15% is deducted every paycheck and invested automatically. If you don't know what ESPP is, Coinbase's ESPP basically allows me to buy the company stock at a 15% discount compared to the market price. That means even if the stock price doesn't move, I instantly lock in a 15% gain the moment I buy. Combine that with Coinbase's stock performance and it's a great way to build wealth. After that, I also contribute another 15% to my 401k, bringing me to about 30% of my paycheck being invested between 401k and ESPP. Here's my most recent pay stub and how taxes are deducted. As you can see here, my net bi-weekly pay is about $2,490 or about $5,000 per month. Because I'm investing pretty aggressively right now, my take-home pay does look pretty small compared to my gross pay, but to cover rent and living costs, I've been relying on that $10,000 sign-on bonus and some savings. I'm a big believer in investing early and investing a lot, so I think this is definitely worth it in the long term. Now let's get into my monthly expenses. So I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in San Francisco, and I share it with a roommate. The place normally rents for about $2,500 per person, but when we signed our lease, we got a couple of weeks free as part of a promo. This brought the effective rent down to around $2,350 a month just for me. And on top of that, the utilities come out to about $115 per month for my share, and my roommate's Google job reimburses our Wi-Fi, so internet is free. Altogether, my total housing costs come to around $2,465 for 1 month. In terms of other monthly expenses, I spend about $250 per month on groceries. I usually get free lunch at the office and go in around 3 to 4 times a week. As I said before, Coinbase is remote, so I don't have to ever be forced to go in, but I like going in to be more productive. And of course, the free lunch doesn't hurt. When it comes to eating out, I probably spend around $500. I definitely want to cut back on this. It's definitely a lot, but usually going out on the weekends with my friends, and sometimes I get bored of cooking. So I eat out a decent amount, and food in San Francisco is definitely definitely pretty expensive. When it comes to Ubers and Lyfts, I spend around $150. It definitely varies based on how much I'm going out or where I'm traveling to, but San Francisco is a pretty spread out area, so you have to Uber and Lyft a lot if you don't have a car, which I don't. And then there's going out and miscellaneous things. Recently I've been traveling a lot, so each plane ticket is like $400, and I also go out a decent amount to bars, and each drink is also like $20 SF pricing. So I would say right now, the last 3 months, the average has been around $705 for miscellaneous and going out. But this definitely varies a lot if I'm not traveling or I'm not going out that much. In terms of subscriptions, I don't have too many. I have Spotify, I have a couple Apple subscriptions for more cloud storage, and a couple here and there. So subscriptions per month is definitely pretty low at around $30. So after all that, my grand total expenses with housing and my other miscellaneous and grocery expenses are around $4,100 per month. So now you can see, after all my deductions of taxes, 401k, ESPP, and all my expenses, my leftover per month is about $900 per month, which usually goes into saving or I just keep in my checking for any extra buffer. I know I'm in a very fortunate position to have this job, especially with how competitive the tech job market is right now. So for that, I'm very grateful. But if you want me to make a video on how I got my job at Coinbase or how I invest my leftover money, whether that's in my 401k or my brokerage account, let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.